Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is having a wonderful week. So far, it's Monday. Like I have mentioned before, thank you everybody for sending me information. A lot coming in. And thank you for watching our videos and all of your emails and phone calls and comments. We really appreciate it. I just feel bad that I can't respond to every single comment. But I got an email here, and it says, Mike and Kim, I think I found a new teaching in the upcoming Watchtower. I quoted the article below. I found it very strange regarding the memorial. I never heard of this teaching regarding the two sticks except in the Mormon church. Any thoughts? Yes, I have some thoughts on this. Thank you, John, for this, because this is interesting because our friend Jay Doe, she has been covering, King David and Solomon and their reign. And Mike even did a video last week mentioning that we all forget that the kingdom was divided, Judah and Israel. That was two different kingdoms, and they each had their own king. And that's why a lot of people get confused, because some scholars and some religions teach that David, it was always one nation. So it's interesting because this with the two sticks actually goes along with that Mike and Jane Doe have been covering. Now, he sent me this quote from it's the January 2022 Watchtower Study Edition. Paragraph 10, it says, read Ezekiel 37:15 through 19, 24 and 25. In fulfillment of this prophecy, Jehovah has brought the anointed and the other sheep together in an unbreakable bond of unity. The prophecy mentions two sticks. Those with the heavenly hope are like the stick for Judah, the tribe which the kings of Israel were chosen, and those with the earthly hope are like the stick of Ephraim. Jehovah would unite the two groups so that they would become one stick. This means that they serve unitedly under their one king, Christ Jesus. Each year, the anointed and the other sheep attend the memorial not as two separate groups, but as one flock under one shepherd. Well, if they're one flock under one shepherd, shouldn't they all partake? Especially since Jesus said, drink of my blood, eat of my body. So this was really good, to cover. And so I thought it would just be easier to give my thoughts in a video, because what I did is I went to the Watchtower Library and did a search. And this is what I have come up with. This is the 2016 bond volume. Yeah, that little thin book is all the Watchtower and Awakes for 2016. So that's shows you how, much less of the magazines they were printing. So we're going to go to the July 2016 Watchtower Study article, to page 31. Questions from readers. You can see it right there. What is the meaning of the joining together of the two sticks described in Ezekiel chapter 37? Their response. Jehovah gave Ezekiel a message of hope, promising the unification of the nation of Israel after its being restored to the promised land. That message also foretells the unification of God's people that started to take place during the last days. So of course they have to apply it to themselves. Jehovah told his prophet Ezekiel to write on two sticks. He was to write on one stick for Judah and for the people of Israel who are with him, and on the other one for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and all the house of Israel who are with him. The two sticks were to become just one stick in Ezekiel's hand. And they even have a little chart here of the two sticks. Ancient times. The stick for Judah was the two-tribe kingdom of Judah, joined in 537 BCE. And the stick of Ephraim was the 10-tribe kingdom of Israel. And they were to be joined together and become one nation. Then they have, in modern times, it's the anointed from 1919. God's people were gradually reorganized and reunited to serve as one flock. and the stick of Ephraim is the other sheep. So they go into the explanation, but yes, John, it's not new light. They've actually had this for a while, but it's so confusing, for most Jehovah's Witnesses, that I don't remember hearing too many talks, from the platform about this, unless it happened to have been like a Bible reading or Bible highlights or something. But, this wasn't something new that just came in 2016. I'm going to show you how far back it goes. This is the book, The Nation Shall Know That I Am Jehovah, from 1971. Chapter 18, page 344, paragraph 23, Restoring Eternal Organization Unity. The tribe of Ephraim descended from Joseph, the son of Jacob. The 10 tribes that revolted from the royal house of David after the death of King Solomon included this tribe of Ephraim as its most powerful tribe. The first king of the new 10-tribe kingdom of Israel was of this tribe, namely Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephraimite. Fittingly then, one stick was written upon by Ezekiel to stand for exiles of that fallen kingdom. The tribe of Judah, along with the tribe of Benjamin, and the priests and Levites remain loyal to the royal family of David. Now this is confusing because some of the stuff that Jane Doe has been covering, it was David that united the 2-tribe kingdom and made it one. So, that's a whole nother research thing right then and there, from what they're saying. But, this whole section, and then of course they take it to the modern times. Paragraph 28. The anointed remnant of spiritual Israel had to unite under him as their one king by Jehovah's appointment. And then it goes through, the Bible students and how they were the anointed. And the bottom of paragraph 29 says, what Jesus thus prayed for has now been achieved among spiritual Israel. And then paragraph 30 says, not only that, but since 1935 CE, the great crowd of those other sheep mentioned by Jesus have overcome racial, national, tribal, and language bars and distinctions, and like the more than 7,500 non-Israelites that left Babylon with a homeward bound remnant, they have united with the anointed remnant of spiritual Israel to serve Jehovah's one King, Jesus Christ. Today, all of them, the remnant and the other sheep, have become one flock under the one shepherd. So, 1971, they have this prophecy in Ezekiel about the 2 sticks. So, I went to the oldest reference that was in the Watchtower library. And this is the 1960 Watchtower Bond Volume. December 15th, Watchtower. Page 752, unity of all men of goodwill promised. And guess what? There you have the prophecy of the 2 sticks. Paragraph 15. To illustrate the reunion, Ezekiel was told to take 2 sticks, one to be marked for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and the other for Judah, representing the aforetime 2 kingdoms of the one people, Israel. Before the eyes of these tribesmen, Ezekiel was to put the one stick to the other, when miraculously they would become one long stick in his hand. In explanation of this miraculous sign, Ezekiel was commanded to say, this is what the Lord Jehovah has said. Here I am taking the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his partners, and I will put them upon it, and that is the stick of Judah, and I shall actually make them one stick, and they must become one in my hand. Skipping down about halfway through paragraph 16. And I shall certainly actually make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and the one king is what all of them will come to have as king, and they will no longer continue to be 2 nations, nor will they be divided any longer into 2 kingdoms. And my servant David will be king over them, and one shepherd is what they will become to have. But yet, in the nation shall know that I am Jehovah, on page 344, it gets very confusing because it talks that the 10 tribes that revolted from the royal house of David after the death of King Solomon included this tribe of Ephraim. So, like I said, that is a whole new research thing. Maybe Jane Doe will cover that, who knows. So David was going to be king over them, and it was going to become one nation. And then in paragraph 17, they talk about the lasting reunion, and that's when it goes into the anointed and the great crowd. But over here on page 756, the subheading, the lasting reunion, on paragraph 17, the last sentence, it says, Jehovah's almighty power has made them one stick, one nation under his one king. They are one stick or instrument in his mighty hand for doing his work. And so same thing, you know, the spiritual Israel and the great crowd. So anyway, that is my thoughts on this. It's not new light, but it's interesting that they're applying that to the memorial, you know, and that they would mention that. And before I end the video here, I just want to mention a couple of things. Someone sent me a link to a fairly new YouTuber. She's been around for about a year, and I haven't come across her channel. There's just so many new XJW YouTubers, it's difficult for us to keep up. But her channel's name is Christy Ann, and I'm going to put the link down below to this video, because she does the math using Watchtower's own literature of. And the title of the video is, The Watchtower is Going to Be Mad About This, 607 BC or 587 BC. And like I said, she uses their own literature. And I remember an article back in 2011, October, November, in the Watchtower study articles, if I remember correctly, about, 587 or 607. And they were still trying to prove, that it was 607, and they have a little tiny footnote and with an asterisk down at the bottom on one of the pages that says that no scholars in their articles they mention believe that it was 607. So they even admit that, and that was a big shocker for us, that they would even admit that none of the scholars, but they have to, otherwise they're going to get sued big time. Now, something else I thought was very interesting. You all know that I love archaeology, and I actually subscribe to Archaeology magazine. And there's something that I have been following in the Archaeology magazine, and they really haven't announced, it's not on mainstream, media or anything, because there hasn't been a big announcement. And, I'm wondering, is this because the Jewish people would be upset? Because I know from our research that Wailing Wall, that wall that they think is the wall to the temple area, in our research it appears that it was actually a Roman fort, and it's not the actual Wailing Wall for the temple. And then I just happened to have gotten an Archaeology magazine where they are doing an archaeological dig. It's kind of down the hill from Temple Mount. See, and almost the entire world believes that Temple Mount is the site of, God's temple, Solomon's temple, whatever you want to call it. But they started digging in the city of David. Now, the city of David was the original, town. That's where it originally started. And it's down the hill a little bit from Temple Mount. And this is where they have found a huge amount of ruins. I'm going to put the link down below to a video. And this man is a tour guide, and he is doing this tour. Now, this is not open to the public yet, but he has put this on YouTube. And I found it interesting because they have found walls, and they are able to date these clear back to the original Solomon's temple time period. And then right above it, you can see Hezekiah's, wall. And they can do this dating. Rocks cannot be dated, but organic material in and around these strata can. And so he shows all of these different walls and the original wall. And there are several videos now on YouTube for ones that do take the tour. Like I said, it's not open to the public, but they do have some that can take these tours, and they feel they have found the original temple, clear back before the Israelites were there, clear back to Canaanite time. And so for those of you who love archaeology, this was fascinating to me, because they show, like where the animals were sacrificed, and this is not on Temple Mount. This is the original temple that they were using, and this is in the city of David, like I said, which was different than Jerusalem and Temple Mount. City of David, yeah, it started spreading out and, grew, and it became Jerusalem and Temple Mount and all of that. But it's interesting because a lot of scholars, won't accept, especially, those who are of the Jewish persuasion, that this is, actually the first temple. And what's interesting is because that spring that was supposed to be, streaming into the temple area, it's in the city of David. This tunnel, this spring, is in the city of David, not up on Temple Mount. So, that alone, because I know the Bible says that spring was coming into the temple area so that they could wash and, clean up. Well, if it was up there, they had to haul water, because this is where the spring is. So thank you for watching, and you all have a wonderful week. Bye.